What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap show. I got a special guest tonight, my boy Ian right here. So, Ian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What up, guys? This is not my first time on a Clown with Cap show. It was way back in the Instagram days.
Yeah, let's go.
Way back in the day, but I'm Ian from Wisconsin. Cap and I have talked sports, man. We talk anything that comes down to it. So it's good to see the homie. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. This is a long time coming. To me, Ian, he's actually getting his undergrad right now. Tell us a little bit about that, Ian. Tell us the college life.
I finished school up.
Oh, you finished it, so you graduated.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a grad, boy. Let's get it. My boy Ian, like he was saying, it's been a long time coming. Those of you who've been watching my journey for a while, Ian has been on my show plenty of times, and we've talked a lot of different stuff, really. But we're going to first start off with the NFL. To me, he's from Wisconsin. He loves the Green Bay Packers. Tell us about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, Ian.
Man, the Green Bay Packers, Cap, it's good. It's good to be back, you know?
Yes.
Growing up, I'm just used to winning football games, having a good
Brett Favre.
team. Yeah, with Brett Favre, man, the OG gunslinger.
Yeah, the Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, man. And then just to have his predecessor be Aaron Rodgers, who in my opinion is the greatest quarterback, the most talented quarterback of all time.
Okay, so and this brings me to the point: is he better than Tom Brady? Ian? Is he? Would you pick Aaron Rodgers over Tom Brady?
I would if I knew. There's a lot of factors that go into that, man, and I think if we're talking personal skill level, it's no question. It's Aaron Rodgers.
And you say that, and I would have to agree with you on that aspect. As talent-wise, I'm definitely going Aaron Rodgers because we've seen it time and time again where he throws the game-winning touchdowns. And this brings me up to a point. It was against Dallas a couple years ago in the playoff game at Dallas, and they're actually tied up. And Aaron Rodgers throws a 40-yard bomb down the sideline. Perfect ball. On a dime. And I'm just like, that's typical Aaron Rodgers. We don't really see Tom Brady doing that, but Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowls, though.
Yeah, Tom Brady, he's got a hell of a resume, man. And he got multiple MVPs with him, too. And it's just like the Patriots, man. The Patriots.
They're cheaters, right?
They are. I'm not trying to take anything away from Tom Brady. Like, hell of a career, and he's still playing at a pretty elite level. But, I mean, he's a product of his environment, and that means Bill Belichick. That means top defenses. That means
every year in and year out.
Year in and year out. And, like, granted, they will just take like Julian Edelman, for example. He was a quarterback in the MAC, bro, and now he's a wide receiver for the Patriots. So, like, he's got talent, but, like, he's not having like those top receiver talent, you know, except for Randy Moss for those brief years.
Yeah, exactly. And this brings me up to another point. If we put Aaron Rodgers on the New England Patriots, are they winning 6 championships or even more? If we put if we flip careers, say Tom Brady at Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers at New England, what do you think about that?
Yeah, man, I think that's an even more impressive resume.
Really, more than 6
more
rings?
than that. I mean, I love Aaron Rodgers to death, and even like as much as I dislike watching the Patriots be in the Super Bowl every single year.
Yes.
Like, you got to respect Tom Brady. Yeah. He's a composed guy. Except when he kissed his kid, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But,
I know my dad never kissed me on the lips like that.
Not like that.
Yeah. But in another point in with Aaron Rodgers, there was another playoff game. They're actually playing Arizona, and I blame the coaching staff for them losing this game. Actually, Aaron Rodgers threw a 50-yard bomb. They're down by 7, and his receiver catches it. In the playoff game, I don't know if you remember this. This was probably 4 years ago. And my whole thing was, if I'm a coach, go for 2. Go for 2. You just made a miracle play from Aaron Rodgers, typical Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it year in and year out what Aaron Rodgers can do. Late game in the fourth quarter, he comes up clutch. I just thought, why don't they go for 2 in that situation?
Yeah, and like sometimes you just got to give the ball to your best player and just let him make a play. We see it time after time again with LeBron James, with Michael Jordan. Like, sometimes you just got to give your best player the ball and just let him win you a football game.
Exactly. And to me, I feel like the Green Bay Packers didn't do that for a while. And I feel like that's why they lost a while in the playoffs. A couple of years back to back against the 49ers. I remember years ago when they had Colin Kaepernick. I thought, man,
Colin Kaepernick was going crazy.
Yes. And speaking of Colin Kaepernick, what are your views on Ian about Colin Kaepernick? Should he be playing in the league or no? What's with Colin Kaepernick in the NFL right now? What's going on? I kind of really don't know.
Man, there's a whole lot. Yeah, it was what, 3-4 years ago when like this first thing started happening.
Yeah, or something about the national anthem.
And he was kneeling during the national
yes,
anthem.
Yes, which I believe is a mistake, but I do believe people should have second chances, right? In life, you know.
Life. And like I think what it comes down to, man, is like the NFL is just treating this because the NFL is a business. Yeah. Owning a team is a business, and I mean. Do I think right now that like Mason Rudolph, Ryan Finley, like those are some lower level guys in the NFL that are starting playing quarterback?
Yes.
You know, like do I think that necessarily
My boy Derek's coming in, boy. Yes, hey, we actually have another guest, Derek. He was actually on my show like years ago. Actually, last year at this time. What, Derek? What's good, man?
Good to see you, buddy.
Dude, I know. I actually really never met you before in person. We're actually chopping it up about the NFL right now and Aaron Rodgers. Who's the best quarterback in your opinion?
In my opinion, I've been watching pro sports for about 1 year. So
1
I'm going to
year?
have to go
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, too.
So you would take Aaron Rodgers right now over Tom Brady, over the six-time Super Bowl champ.
I say yes because Aaron Rodgers, he just got... I don't know. You see his face when he's out there, and he's going to work.
He means business.
Yeah.
Which Tom Brady means business too.
True.
But
obviously he wins.
As talent-wise, what Ian was saying earlier, and Derek, you can vouch for me here. Talent-wise, Aaron Rodgers is through the roof. I mean, he makes plays that are like, wow, how does he do that? Like the Hail Marys. Yeah, like the Hail Mary against the Detroit Lions he did a couple years ago. I believe it was on Thanksgiving. It's like, how does he do that? How does he pull that out of his ass? You know, that's what I'm saying. I was just. It's in shock to me with that. But my boy Derek, man, I forget what we were talking about last year. We're really different topics.
Probably.
I think it was
weed.
Weed, yes, it was weed. And speaking of marijuana, what's your view? Do you support it, Derek?
I'd say I'm pro legalization, pro all of it.
Yeah.
Pro get them out of jail, all that
Yes,
stuff.
same here. And here's my reason why they should get out of jail is, those aren't the true criminals. The true criminals are the people that are out shooting schools, raping kids, killing innocent people. Those are the real criminals that should be thrown in jail, right?
I'd agree with you.
Yeah, so I definitely, I'm a firm supporter of weed, and people that know me, I actually haven't been actively smoking lately, but I do believe every state eventually will legalize pot. I mean, do you think that'll be good for our society?
I do think so. I mean, you think back to how long ago like prohibition was and what that did, and it's a very similar issue, but obviously, many people think that like alcohol is a lot worse than weed, and I'm one of those people. Like I think has more negative effects, and we went through our business with that, so I think the states could turn it around.
For sure. And Derek, you brought a great point with alcohol being worse than weed. I've never seen anybody really have a temper tantrum when they smoke weed, unless it's like obviously laced. But now if somebody's really belligerent drunk, I've seen people do some dumb things when they're drunk.
Exactly.
Some really like, if they were sober, they would have never done that,
I mean, myself. Like, I think we're all guilty of
it.
Yeah,
it's an animal, just a different person. And then, And with that, you said laced weed. Yeah. That's another thing that would be not solved entirely, but like it would be helped legalizing it so that it's done safely. And you don't have to worry about street drugs
the tax dollars too that you get on that. I was in Colorado a couple months ago and I bought weed legally for my first time ever. And it was crazy. It was super exciting. And then I checked my receipt and like the tax on it alone is like upwards of 25%.
Wow.
So I mean, like I bought like a $60 item there, and I walked out after spending probably like $80-85 just
How
because
much
of the
weed
tax
because of all the tax?
Yeah, just because of the tax dollars on there. And it was one of those things where it's like, damn, like I'm kind of just overpaying for some weed.
Some weed, yes.
But I was like, I got it. Like, it's my first time ever buying it legal. I gotta do it. But I mean, like that alone, like that's gonna help pay for schools and after school programs.
Yeah, and I also think dealing with marijuana is what Derek was vouching here. Is I think it's gonna bring more jobs for America, right? I mean, we want more jobs. We need people to work. I mean, the unemployment rate right now is at its lowest for a reason, and I do think marijuana has a little hand to do with that, right? For unemployment being so low. Don't you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more jobs being created.
For sure. And I was just like, but speaking of that, I kind of want to switch it up here for a minute. And I know Ian knows about this, about dealing with religion. And I know Ian believes that I'm a firm believer of Jesus Christ. I believe he died for our sins and he's the chosen one. Now, Ian, he's on a different fence, and we'll get Derek's point of view. Ian, what's your thing with, do you believe in Jesus or do you believe in a higher power? How did us humans come to be about here?
Yeah, I'm not I'm not really as big of a believer as you are, you know,
Yeah.
as far as like Jesus and him dying for our sins and all of that. It's kind of, I don't know. I think I was raised very open-minded, and my parents kind of allowed me to have whatever opinions or like explore whatever thoughts I had at first. You know, like I wasn't just like going to church religiously every single week, and I think that people will get positive and negatives from that too. Like my dad was someone that was like pretty much forced to go to church with his family every single week since he was born until he left the house, pretty much. You know,
and I don't think that's really good, right? To be forced to do something.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, he just wasn't really into it all that much, and he kind of grew up. And when he had me, he was like, I'm not gonna, like, you know, force you to do this. Like, we went to church growing up, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like a, man, we got to do this on Sunday. You know, like if things were popping up, it wasn't that big of a deal. But you can kind of see the negative effects of like kind of forcing someone into like what they believe, is because he was like, man, I just don't want to do this anymore, you know. But it's not. My dad's still religious, and he just doesn't, you know, feel the need to make us have to go to church.
Yeah,
or anything
and
like
I think that's kind of like our society. Like if we're forcing kids to not say they don't want to go to church, we shouldn't force them to go. We shouldn't be like, you have to go or else, you know, you go to hell or something. You know, I just think, you know, I really think it's more connection with the higher power than anything. But do you believe that there is a God, Ian? Or do you think that are we just kind of evolution to?
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple different ways to think about it. So just be like there being of a higher power that kind of like watches over everyone and like, you know, like has everyone's best interest in mind, you know, like that's kind of a thing. But then the thing I do kind of have a problem with are people that just like think like, oh man, like, well, regardless of what I do in this scenario right now, like there's a plan for me and that's like where I'm going to end up. Yeah. Because it's like at the end of the day, you make your own decisions, you know, like I made a decision to come to Ball State. I made a decision to work at this place. I made a decision to do this show right now.
Yeah, exactly. You made a
like,
decision to talk to me first time we met. You
know?
Like
if this was like all predetermined, all planned, like I could have just said no and made it not happen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, like as comforting as it would be to think like, yeah, like there's a plan for me, like someone's looking out for me up top, you know, at the end of the day, like we all make our own decisions. Yeah. And, you know, like you could have ran a stoplight and gotten hit on the way here. But you chose not to. You chose not to like run that stoplight. And obviously like horrible things happen every single day. It's just crazy to like wrap my head around that. Like there are school shootings and like kids are getting killed, people are getting killed all the time, and there's like a God who has a plan for that. Yeah, for sure. And I can see why certain people are like, you know, to the people who don't believe in anything are like, you know, why are so many bad things happening? Or sorry, like you said, why does someone shoot up a school? You know, why does God make that decision? I think that ultimately comes down from like free will, like you said, like when someone loses their mind, like, you know, and shoots up a school, you can't really control that, right? Yeah. If someone just goes crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Derek, what's your viewpoint? What do you think? Are you a believer? Or what's your mindset?
I grew up in the same situation, like going to church most Sundays with my family, and then they allowed us to like be as open-minded as we want. Both parents, it was like, well, if you don't want to go to church, you know, I'm not going to force you. And then we kind of all fell off the wagon together. Mm-hmm. And I personally, I think it's less about thinking like outwards and like what's out there, and I think it's like what's happening inside you. I think
in your soul, in your soul, in your heart. Yeah.
Self-discovery. I think that's like, I don't know, the most important aspect of anything like that. So I actually don't know much about like Buddhism at all. But I know that that's probably like more where I would lean if I had to like categorize myself under something.
For sure, and for my background, I was raised Catholic, and if you guys don't know the Catholic religion, it's definitely, you know, it is strict, you know. And I grew up in the school. I had to go to Sunday school every Sunday, you know. And the thing is with me is with the Catholic Church is I don't believe telling your sins to another man and then your sins are forgiven. I don't think.
Yeah, you're just absolved.
Yeah, I don't believe. I believe ultimately that's come from you and the higher power. And that's where it's like coming down from you. But do you like pray, Derek, or do you think like is there any time during the day or your life where you're like, thank you God for this blessing that you gave me, or thank you God that you blessed me with this job that I got that I never thought I would get, or did that ever like come up?
Actually, the exact opposite. Like if I find the time, like my ideal day starts with me like getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, and then like meditating, like sitting alone with myself for like 5-10 minutes, and like breathing and just like
relaxing,
kind of existing for a little bit. And that's where I find most of like that peace most of that. Like,
and during that time, Derek, I think we're getting somewhere here. You said you're at peace there, and I feel like are you communicating to somebody during that meditation, or are you just kind of like you feel at peace? Obviously, what's bringing you that?
It's because you're like existing in so many places at once. Like you're like here right now, but then your mind's on a million other things, and that you're on other people's mind too. And there's like millions of versions of you that exist, and then some like we all just forget that like we're just right here, just finding you like anchor yourself to one point and like space and time, and you're just existing there. And
for sure. And I know a lot of people that that believe in nothing and believe like evolution, kind of like Earth collided with rocks and then it formed into atoms, and in science and all that. To me, that I think that's another theory how the evolution in the world started, right? I mean, to me, there's so many theories of how we're here today, and all the history in the past, has been like it's crazy to think about, like from like just think 100 years ago from today, they didn't have any technology, they didn't have any vehicles. They didn't. We didn't.
Far from it.
Yeah, far from it. And just put ourselves in those situations and think, wow, how would we live 100 years from today? Like we had no technology, we had no like running water, like stuff like that. It was just so different. To me, that kind of like blows my mind to think, wow, it just happened,
Yeah.
Just how quickly technology's really taken off and stuff.
Yeah. How much we really know. I've got a question for you. Actually.
Yeah. What's up, Ian?
So like, was there a time or a moment or like an instance where you kind of became more religious, or like you were kind of like, damn, like, yeah, I'm gonna kind of put this in a gear. Like I know a lot of people, they'll either, just for example, like they'll survive a horrible car accident.
Yeah.
They'll like go to prison. They will do, I don't know, like something will happen. A family member will die. Something will happen, like usually pretty traumatic, that kind of like catalyzes them into like believing that there is a higher power and like being like way more connected to God where you wouldn't be before.
For sure. And I have actually two stories for you. And this was back in high school, and we were at this party, and we ended up leaving this party, and it's me and a couple of my buddies. I'm in shotgun. We're drinking and smoking, and we're driving with the tail light out, and we ended up getting pulled over. And the cop pulls us over in front of the police station, actually in Muncie, in the front of the police station. Yes, I can't make this up. Downtown. And the cop takes us out, and he knows we have alcohol, weed in there. And during that time, in that moment, I was like, I'm going to jail. And in my moment, I was like, God, can you take me out of this situation? And I prayed to God, and I said, God, if you take me out of this situation, I will not put myself in this situation again. And then a state trooper pulls up, and the state trooper talks to him. He says, you know what? We're going to let you guys go. The bong we're going to take, and you guys are good to go. And right then and there, I felt like a presence there, if that makes sense. And then here's my second story. This was actually spring break a couple years ago when I was going to Ball State. This was 2016, 2017. This was on my way home from Florida, and we got back from, what spring break, turning up, and we, how it is. And I'm driving, and we're in the state of Tennessee, and I actually fall asleep at the wheel, and I'm drifting to the left, and right before I hit the wall, my buddy Marco in the back, he starts yelling, and I immediately, instantly, I didn't know what to do, so I like swerved, but I hit the wall, and we're going like 95, and we hit the wall, and immediately, as soon as I hit the wall, the car just stopped, like it was just, normal, and I was like, bro, I really thought like God was there, bro, with us, because I think, going 95 miles an hour into a brick wall, on the highway, falling asleep at the wheel, how am I not dead? Is what I'm thinking, right? I mean, let's put science into this. Science, you're going 95 on the highway, and you hit a wall, you're going to blow up or flip, like how, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's when I really started to believe that, God is real. And that's where I really got my faith from that day on. Ian,
that's
for real. And I was like, I thought we were going to die.
Yeah. That's more than fair. And like, I'm not going to be the one who's going to try to attack you for that story, just be like, well, that's just lucky, like, whatever.
For
like,
sure.
Personally, I haven't had something like that, and like, I would hate for it to take like a near-death experience like that for me to, for that to happen, but it was definitely,
can't argue with that, and it was definitely a near death, because I was thinking the whole time, like, we told his dad about it, and the car was messed up, like the tires and stuff, but only like $500 worth of damage. But I was thinking, that's crazy. Like, we could have flipped into oncoming traffic and killed somebody, and then I could have been in jail, or like,
or dead yourself,
or dead myself. So it's definitely that day on, I really put Christ first, but and people had their views, which is fine, and I'm not judging Ian or Derek for what they believe. I'm just telling you from my life and my aspect and having a near-death experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Ian, so tell us, you guys, what are some of your favorite Netflix shows here, or your favorite movies, so to speak?
Man, I'll let you start.
That's tough. Netflix wise, the show Big Mouth. Have you seen any
Big Mouth? I have not.
Okay.
What's the plot on it?
It's a goofy cartoon. It's a bunch of middle schoolers like going through puberty, and it's you can see they're like hormone monsters that are like driving them through puberty and like obviously like just a bunch of crazy stuff. Yeah. Just disgusting. They're seventh graders are doing like in the grossest part of their life.
Yeah. And like you can all relate to it.
Yeah.
Like
for
we've all been there, just like
we've all hit puberty. I actually, I was growing armpit hair back in 3rd grade. I had one armpit hair, just one. But yeah, it's crazy. But actually, there's another movie that's on Netflix now that I was going to tell you guys about. It's called Irishman. It's like a mob background. You guys should check it out if you guys like mob.
Al Pacino.
Yes, Al Pacino. Oh man, I forget who else.
Scorsese.
They're mafia guys from the old Sopranos and so it's just a mafia movie. I like those action-packed movies and stuff. So Ian, what about you? What's some good or even funny movies? I like The Waterboy's a classic. I like the old Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, The Waterboy is a classic, and I haven't seen that in a long time. What recently we've been watching is we got Disney Plus. The House did. Derek's girlfriend actually did. Shout out to Kaylee for the password.
That's always good.
We all got a plug on the password. Yeah. This one just happens to be Kaylee, and so like the other day we were watching Monsters University and Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. I love that.
Just brings you right back. You know what I mean? Like. Growing up, Space Jam was my favorite movie.
Dude, ever. Space Jam, no doubt, favorite Disney ever. Dude.
I watched that. I watched Space Jam like once a week religiously, growing up. That stuff is awesome. As far as like, shows
what about
right
Lion
now,
King? I love the Lion King. I do believe the old Lion King is a little better than the new one. I know people disagree with me on that one. Have you guys seen the new Lion King?
I did not see it. I'm excited to, but I was probably going to wait until it would come to maybe Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I can get it for not a movie ticket price.
Because those are getting expensive. Movie tickets. You go to the movie, it's like $25. You take you and someone else.
And the thing is, nowadays, everything's kind of going online. Like you said, the movies. We can get it on Netflix or on a different streaming app online now. It's just like, eventually 20 years from now, do you think there will be movie theaters then? Or like, do you think that'll kind of be an old thing? I hope not. I love the movies. The popcorn, the family atmosphere, or if you're on a date,
We've all had a date in the movie.
Yes, exactly. That was like my first date ever. I was like in 7th grade, and I was actually, her name was Jessica, and I was with my best friend. We were on like a double date, and I made out with this girl, and I actually accidentally bit her tongue. Yeah, and she called me Jaws from then on. I can't make that up. I promise you.
Yeah. We all have a story like that. I had 7th grade. Shout out Sydney Shanley. We went to see We Bought a Zoo. 2011. Beautiful movie. I love Matt Damon and Scarlett Johansson. And I just was holding her hand the whole time, and it got super, super sweaty. I grabbed it. I balled up, and then I held on really tight, and then it was really sweaty, and I didn't know what to do about it. And we just stayed right there until the end of the movie, and I just like. I pulled my hand off. And
it's like no.
Yeah, just sweat all over everywhere.
It's like that sick. Yeah, we've all experienced it. That's why I hope the movies never go out. Now, with the malls and the way our futures, I know we're kind of everywhere with the malls, and to me, I do think with shopping online now, I do think some of the malls will, the smaller town malls will go probably out of business eventually, which is kind of sad in a way, right? But that's just the way our world, because we want everything quicker. Food we want quicker. We want our clothes quicker, Just, don't you guys agree with that, the way our society's going?
I do. I mean, you can see Muncie malls definitely just like not filled in. Even the mall north of my hometown, Fort Wayne, Glenbrook Mall, like it used to be just going off all the time, and now you go anytime other than like Friday night, and you don't see anybody in there. It's just weird. Yeah. There's all these stores, I don't know. It used to be like an activity just to go to the mall.
Yeah.
And now
I will tell you, there's a mall down where I live, Keystone Mall down there. And I tell you, it's really busy, but they have so many shops, like food courts, just the whole 9 yards. But I feel like the smaller malls lack that stuff, so to speak, in a way.
And another thing is like, that's how we met, was serving, waiting tables.
Yes, waiting tables, yes.
Derek was a server for all of 9 days.
9 days. 3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks.
Oh my gosh! Why so short? Why so short, Derek?
I realized very quickly it wasn't for me. My sister worked there for like 2 years, and then she said she loved it. She recommended me. Like I got on, and then it was my first day by myself was the first day of Endless Shrimp.
No
Red
way.
Lobster. And so it was just balls, man. All of these just like very, very large people, just large Muncie families coming in, sitting down and paying one price, and I just have to run them out dishes all the time. Yeah. I got like no tips, and they took up the table for like 3 hours, and I was just running 6 shrimp at a time. Just here and there, and it sucked so bad, and I was like, man, I am just not about that.
Dude, I feel you. Being a server, at first I didn't like it, but I do believe, and Ian can vouch for me because we work together being a server. Sometimes it sucks because you're really like somebody else's, in a way, like, they treat you kind of like a slave sometimes. Like, I want this right now. They'll treat you really disrespectful because they don't really care about you, And when you're in the job, you're just like, man, like to think that these guys don't care about us, they don't care about our feelings.
Not even leave me like a couple bucks.
Yeah, like getting stiff tip is the worst feeling, is it not, dude?
Man. It's the worst.
That makes me just want to like.
It'll ruin your whole night, man.
Dude, yes, getting this stiff tip. To me, I do. This is where I think women have an advantage with being a server, is because they're more beautiful and presentable to families and stuff. Don't you guys vouch for me? Isn't it kind of being a disadvantage?
You could have like a beautiful girl. You could just have us.
Us, yeah. But I will tell you, there are some advantages being a guy. There's single ladies that go out, older ladies that go out. It's definitely. But I feel like the advantage is definitely to the women out there for being that what am I trying to say? That of life, of being a server, But the everyday server grind, it's a grind though.
It is a grind. And like you come home with cash.
Yes, and that's the best. That's why I love serving the most, is you're coming home with cash no matter what.
Every night.
Whether it's $40 or $200, you're coming home with cash no matter what.
There's just nothing like making rent in a day.
Yes.
Like just coming home and be like, damn, like for real made rent in a night.
Yes.
There's nothing better than that.
And as we go into the future, I know we're kind of everywhere talking about the future. Do you think servers will kind of be a extinct thing in 40 years when we're old? When we're old men and stuff, like, are they going to have like robots doing it, or
I mean, you go to like Applebee's or Chili's, and there's just an iPad on the table.
Yeah.
Like you could just type in your order. That shit'll go right to the kitchen, and then like a manager or a robot, I don't know, a drone is gonna bring it out to you. They're gonna bring it out to you, and then you don't have to tip, and then so you save a couple bucks. The restaurant saves a couple bucks.
Yeah, and you even said that the drone, and I've seen out west they're already starting to drop drones off, like hamburgers. We're gonna drop off a hamburger meal at your house and stuff. I think that is crazy. I never thought of that. I thought by now we'd have flying cars. If anything, future. What do you think about that, Derek? I always thought we'd have flying cars. I mean, we have the technology to do that, don't we?
I do think so. But I think a lot of it is industries that have a hold on it, like oil industry. Like they have such a grip on everything. They're not going to let that not be the main source of transportation. That's gonna get like real conspiracy like, but it's like, they don't want you to know.
Exactly. And it's like, dude, we have the internet and we have access to information all seconds, like to whereas 40 years ago they'd have to wait weeks to get information, to where we get it in seconds, dude. And I think that's kind of like our society now. We're kind of like impatient, really. Like we're impatient just no matter what it is. Like we need it right away, and it's like I feel like we gotta have patience because just think back in the day, they never had this stuff, dude. Like, we get it so quick. Our fast food's even quicker. It's just like, dude, it's crazy the way we're moving so fast in the future, And I actually saw Elon Musk just come out with a new truck that's and I saw it, and it kind of looked weird, but it definitely has a lot of power. And to me, it's just like, wow, this is the future for sure. Don't you guys think?
I think so, man. I think something that really put that in perspective for me was I had a job for almost a year about downtown Muncie, and I mean, it was like a 10-minute drive from this place to like Ball Hospital, for instance, and started working there, and this house was built by this guy. His name was Thomas Neely. That's why Neely Avenue runs through campus. It's named after him.
Yeah.
And so he lived out there, and he would take like his fucking horse and buggy or whatever, and ride it to Ball Hospital, like that area, and where it takes me 10 minutes, it took him a day and a half because he had to go all the way around to the point where he could find a bridge to get over the river. And like come all the way back, like a day and a half for that, and like we can just run there and run back.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And all that time just gone right there.
Just
you
gone.
know, that's insane to me. I want to switch it up. I want to go back to the NFL for a minute. I know the Aaron Rodgers fans here. Who are you guys picking to win the Super Bowl this year? Is it going to be the Packers? I do think if the Packers want to win it, I do think they need to get a little better out their offensive line for Rodgers' protection and their defense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I want the Packers to win more than anything. I think that we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I always, personally, I always think like when you have a player like as transcendental as Aaron Rodgers is, like you always have a chance. You know, like you have a LeBron James on your team, you always have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, like no one's ever counts them out. Yeah. Kind of a thing.
Exactly, they have a chance, and when we know they're going to make the playoffs. To me, I think they're an X-Factor team, meaning they're a scary team. Like, if they match up against the 49ers again, or if they match up against somebody like Seattle, they can still beat them. Or even the Cowboys. We've seen it time and time again. Yeah. I still like the Packers over the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Well, they beat them earlier this year, but, man, that man Lamar Jackson is looking mighty scary.
Gosh!
Mighty scary. No one's really figured him out yet. And I think the scariest part is that no one's figured it out yet, which means that he has to just be that good.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. And my whole thing is, if you're going to stop his run, he's going to throw it, and he can throw. And that's been his nemesis coming out of Louisville was, can he throw the ball? And we've seen time and time again, he can throw, just like when they play the 49ers. He can throw the ball, and to me, it is dangerous. But what about me being from Indiana and a Colts fan? It's disappointing seeing the Colts the way they did.
Once again, just a disappointing season.
And to me, I think Jim Irsay messed up when they release Peyton Manning. To me, I know Peyton was on his last years. Derek, you can vouch for me. He was on his last years, but you know what did Peyton do when he got released? He won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. To me, it's just like being a Colts fan. He was the savior for us, dude. Peyton Manning was the savior for Colts.
Have you seen the statue outside of Lucas Oil?
No.
Oh, it's Peyton Manning outside Lucas Oil. He looks like a Christ-like figure.
Yeah.
Like he is. He is built as a superhero in front of Lucas.
Yeah.
Like, we will never forget him. 18.
Dude, I know.
Yeah.
And to me, it was, you said Christ-like. It's like that. You know, Colts fans, we looked up to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was our savior, and to me, it was kind of like a shot in the heart, kind of where we're just going to release Peyton Manning. We understand he's down his last couple years, but it's like, man, we just let him go. And then I understand with Luck, it was kind of disappointing, really. You know, with Luck, I like Luck. I like him as a person. I just never thought he had the mindset to be a Super Bowl winning champion quarterback. What, do you guys think so? Or
yeah, I mean, I don't know. He had it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. He was just always so hurt.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Always so hurt and kind of inconsistent a little bit. And I just wanted consistency. And Peyton Manning, that's what he was. Peyton Manning was consistent. Yeah, he got his bad games, but I'll never forget he won us a Super Bowl. And they really should have won 2 Super Bowls against the Saints. You know, I definitely think coaching was involved there that year. They lost. But to me, it's just Peyton. I can never thank Peyton more being from Indiana.
You know, that's how I feel about Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
you know?
so that's why
Brett Favre left the Packers,
and then he went to Minnesota,
he went to
which
Minnesota
is like the rival,
and New York, like a conference rival.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like it ripped our hearts out in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Like we hated Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And like we were like, you could have retired a god.
Yeah.
A god in Green Bay. But you know, time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
We got over it. It did hurt a little bit, especially when he came to Green Bay and beat us in a Vikings uniform.
Dude, no way! I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember it. But you know, time heals all wounds, and got us a Super Bowl. We love that guy.
Yeah.
He's got a street named after him in Green Bay now.
No way, Brett Favre Street.
Yeah. So.
Dang.
So he's got a street named after him, and then Aaron Rodgers, his predecessor. Like I think it says something that Aaron Rodgers sat as a backup for all those years.
How many years was Aaron Rodgers a backup?
And learned. It was 4, 5, 6 years even. Like,
wow.
I'd have to check exactly, but yeah, like he just sat there and he learned and he studied, and Brett Favre like taught him things, and it's really cool. You can see the similarities in their game because they play so different. Like Brett Favre is the league the career leader in interceptions thrown. Aaron Rodgers has the best touchdown to interception ratio ever. Like, doesn't throw interceptions. So it's like, it's kind of similar. Like, their game styles are so different. Like, Brett Favre could just throw the ball 100 yards on a line, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like Aaron Rodgers is just picking off, like, dimes.
The little, like, windows.
The smallest windows possible, and he's hitting them right in the hands.
Yeah.
You know?
And I want to ask you guys, is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? And I've debated this with other people. I've always said Eli Manning should be in the Hall of Fame simply because he beat the New England Patriots twice in the Super Bowl, and he has one of the best throws in Super Bowl history. What's your guys' opinion? Should he be? Or I know his career-wise, not the best, but winning those 2 Super Bowls, that's what's got me in against the Patriots.
And beating the undefeated Patriots.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, dude. That's why I was like, dude, how can we say no to that? You know, beating the undefeated Patriots, the way he did it, I just think Eli deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. What do you think, Derek? You think Eli should be in the Hall of Fame?
I definitely think the win against the Patriots, like taking down the Tom Brady, you know, that's just like you're going against an icon.
Yeah.
And if you can pull it together to win such a monumental game like that, I think you have at least some of the stuff, you know, some of the X factor to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
We're not talking about best player ever. We're talking about NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes, exactly. And I think Eli has obviously the past 5 years, definitely not great. But, you know, like we were saying, the 2 rings definitely vouches for. I want to get into the NBA a little bit. I do believe the NBA has softened up since the early 90s and 80s. To me, I think MJ, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, they would average like 50 or 60 in today's day and age. What do you guys think? Do you think they would be the same players, or do you think... I just think it's gotten a little softer with fouls and everything.
Yeah, it absolutely has. I mean, if I'm correct, there wasn't even like a flagrant foul didn't even exist back in that era. Like, you could go in, someone could drive to the lane. It's kind of like the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys.
Yes.
Like, no easy buckets.
Yes.
Like, you're getting clotheslined, you're getting shoved, you're getting hit, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it absolutely has gotten softer. But on the flip side of that, like Larry Bird, MJ, like they've never seen a Giannis Antetokounmpo. They've never seen an Anthony Davis or a Kevin Durant, like someone that big, that long, that athletic, with the ability to handle a ball and like to be a one. You know, like if they wanted to, they could run the point.
Yeah.
And so it'd just be interesting to kind of just see those two things collide, where it's like Dirk Nowitzki was just one of a kind.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but
and
now
he played in the 90s.
But now if you're a big man and you can't shoot.
Yeah.
You're really not. You got to be the best defense. Like you got to be the best defensive player. Like you got to be a Rudy Gobert. You know, if you're not going to be able to light it up from outside and do it all, then what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You know? And LeBron James, do you guys think LeBron James is the best player in the league? I mean, I know a lot of people hate LeBron. I hated LeBron when he left to the Heat, but when he came back and won the championship against Golden State with his block and everything, I like LeBron. I just think, you know, there are some questionable plays, you know, late game. He has choked before, like we've seen in the 2011 finals versus the Mavs. But to me, he proved us back when he won with Cleveland. To me, I think LeBron is great, and he's once-in-a-lifetime talent, you know? What do you guys think? You think LeBron is great?
I think he's good. Obviously, I'm not going to say he's not good. I think he could be...
Better,
obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like a better shooter, I would say, definitely, because, like, that was his, like, you know, three-point shooter. He wasn't really great, you know?
Yeah.
But... I just there are definitely some people that are like, I don't know about LeBron, you know.
Either way, it's just a fun guy to watch, man.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. And he
like,
could have played in the NFL too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, just like sheer athleticism.
Yeah.
But like being from Milwaukee, I'm a big Bucks fan, and like watching people like Giannis Antetokounmpo, like it's beautiful. Like
dude,
the way that like he can move and be 6'11" and be able to move and like
be able to dunk like
and just jump over people.
Yeah,
you know, like just jump over. And like LeBron's kind of the same way, like just being 260 pounds and still being able to jump like 40 inches in the air.
Yeah,
like, that's a whole lot of weight to just.
Dude, I know. That's
why
I was like, man, but I'm telling you, I'm picking the Lakers to win it this year. I know it's crazy. What do you think? You think the Lakers can win it this year?
I think the Lakers can definitely win it. I really think the Bucks are gonna be fighting for sure. If the Bucks aren't at the very least like in the finals or the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll be shocked and disappointed.
Yeah, I think they will though.
I think another team that really worries is just the Clippers, man.
Yeah,
like you talk about just defensive like grit and studs on those teams. Like you got Pat Bev, you're gonna switch off him to who? Paul George, switch off him to Kawhi.
Yeah,
switch off him to Montrezl Harrell. Like, those are defensive-minded players and like gritty players, and like I think it'll be interesting to just see other players like come in to the Staples Center and like get a bucket, get a win.
Get a win. Yes, 100%. And before we finish up, I want to go back to the NFL. I know he said the Packers. What other team beside the Packers were you say to win the Super Bowl?
The Ravens.
The Ravens! I was thinking, what about you, Derek? What do you think?
I think either Ravens or 49ers.
Ravens
maybe.
or 49ers?
I think San Francisco.
A lot of the experts are saying the Ravens and 49ers, which makes sense. They have a great high-powered offense and a great defense to me. And I do think there's some X-factor teams like the Packers. What about Seattle? Russell Wilson, I think, is one of the most underrated quarterbacks out there. What do you think? Do you think the Seattle could make some noise?
I mean, man, the Seahawks just have routinely beaten the Packers in the playoffs. Like, every year, like on paper, you look at it and you're like, dude, the Packers should run away with this one. It shouldn't even be close, whatever. And the Seahawks are still beating them.
Yes,
like, for some reason the Packers just freak out when they play the Seahawks. And like I think Russell Wilson is just a top tier quarterback. Like you can never count out Russell Wilson. You can't count out Tom Brady.
He went to Wisconsin.
He was a Badger. I rooted for him.
Dude, that's crazy. I never would have thought.
Uniform.
That is good. Was he like dominant in college? I never really saw. To be honest, I never saw Russell Wilson really play in college. But they said he was undersized and wouldn't make it in the league. You know, kind of like they told Drew Brees.
Yeah, he went. I remember watching him lose in the Rose Bowl. And then, kind of like what a great college talent and he got drafted by the Colorado Rockies to play shortstop too.
Oh wow!
So hell of an athlete, clearly, And then he chose football. He stuck with football, and I think it worked out for him.
Yeah, man. Let's go. These are my boys, Ian, one time, and Darren. Give it up one time, man. They're gonna come on my show again, right, Ian? We'll talk some more, baby. It's the Clowning with Cap show, boys. Let's go. Let's go.
Clowning with Cap.